The last step to being cool is to pick on someone weaker than you. On someone weaker than you when other people are watching. Well, that concludes our lesson on how to be cool. I hope you'll use everything that you've learned in an effort to be as cool as me.
Hey, welcome back to the Swayside Connection podcast. And who do we have on today's episode?
Gretchen.
What's up, Gretchen? And yes, and what are we sipping on over there?
We've got some peppermint tea.
Peppermint tea, hot or cold?
Peppermint hot this afternoon. But I've had like 8,000 cups of coffee this morning. So I was working this morning already. So now I have to kind of chill down a little bit.
Oh, so is that like tea is like your transition over to like the latter part of the day? You're just like mornings it's coffee and then you transition to tea.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I like coffee in the afternoon too, but I like having a hot drink when I'm like sitting in front of a computer. I do it at work. I'm not even like, I haven't even noticed that this is a theme, but this is what I do at work too. I just like having a drink.
Oh, so like, so you don't drink cold coffee or teas or iced coffees?
I do.
You do.
I like an iced coffee, but I like a iced coffee in the afternoon.
Okay.
But it's kind of cold here in Seattle area.
Yeah.
Like it's like overcast. So tea felt right for today.
I see.
But I like it all. I like an ice. I like a hot. I have a very wide range of.
Well, you were pretty specific when you said like, and it's like a thing, and you were just like, when you're in front of a computer screen, you like a hot drink.
I like a hot drink if I'm talking to somebody in front of the computer screen. Yeah.
Gotcha. Why is that versus a cold drink versus
Because so for my job, I work as a therapist and I do a lot of telehealth. So I do a lot of like meeting people on screen. So this format is like very familiar for me, right?
Okay.
I think I like a hot drink because it lasts me the whole hour. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so because if I have a cold drink, then I'll drink it quickly, then I'll like have to use a restroom. So I want a hot drink because I want it to last me the hour.
Perfect. That's exactly why I like to drink black coffee. Because if I put like cream and sugar or eat like I just really like to put like heavy cream in my coffees, I'll kill it hella fast. I'll kill it in like 10 minutes. And then it's like, I have another hour of the podcast left and I have no drink. So that's why I like to drink black coffee. Yeah. Okay. That's,
yes. Yeah. It's a pacing. It's a natural pacing thing, right?
Yes.
Like
it's strategic.
You can't go too fast.
Yes.
But I do love an iced coffee. I love an iced coffee, but not for this setting. Yes.
Now, do you ever, I love how random we're going already. So like in the mornings, if you were out and about to order coffee,
okay, good question.
What is it usually? Is it usually hot or cold?
If it's in the morning, it's hot coffee. And then it's like either like drip coffee or an Americano with cream.
Okay. Yep.
But if it's in the afternoon, then I want like a little treat, right? Because then I gotta get like, I want something probably with some kind of sweetness in it, some kind of, iced fiasco.
Yeah. So
I'll go a little.
That treat that you look for in the afternoon, I just get that every time. I get my, and so that's why I'll get it. Like even in the mornings, I'll order my ice. So basically it's an iced Americano, heavy cream, extra heavy cream. And I'm talking Starbucks here. Extra heavy cream. Yeah. Extra heavy cream with sugar-free vanilla. And I'll just get that. And like I said, I could get one in the morning and I could get that in the afternoon too. It's like, I want it cold every time. And I think
I could, Heinz. Like, I think I could be with you on that. But I think that I don't think I've examined this like about myself enough, but I think that it's a quantity issue. Like I like to drink coffee a lot. Like I want to like keep drinking it.
Yeah.
So that's when I just go like regular coffee.
Yes.
Because I just want to keep going.
Yeah. And I could see that. And that's why I would try to limit myself to 2 a day, like morning and night. But like if you are like somewhere, like at a workplace, at home, somewhere, like I would, and this is why whenever I'm out, I always get iced coffee, is because it's harder to do iced coffee in an office at home because it's
Yeah.
logistically, it's not as easy to put together. So
I totally agree. At home, I can like solidly get by on like drip coffee and tea for my work day. I work from home half time. So then
nice.
half the time I work at a hospital, and the hospital has multiple Starbucks at the
Oh
hospital.
man, that would be, I mean, like I already know if every time I would go into the hospital, I mean, I'm like, and their app is so good. Their app is really,
So convenient.
it's
Well,
so
and that's the
convenient.
thing. I'm not even really trying to go to Starbucks if I'm not at the hospital. But if I'm there, I'm like, I got a little break. Then you can punch it in. Then it's just ready for you. So,
That's like one of the greatest hacks ever. Like you could be in the middle of something, like push a button on your phone and then order it or whatever. And then like 5 minutes later, you just go down there and pick it up. And
and you, yeah.
I always wonder how people, not everybody uses that, because I'm like, and I will see a lot of times, I don't know if this is like, the line is super long, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? I'm like, dude, and I'll just go pick up my drink and then
And you're like, peace out. No, I think that I think that the difference sometimes, because so many people work at a hospital and the Starbucks in the hospital, like people want a break. So sometimes it's like,
true,
oh, I'll meet
true.
you there. And then it's like
Okay.
you order ahead of time if you're meeting somebody for coffee, or do you like wait in the line together? So that then it's a whole other navigation system,
Yes, that
like figuring out all of that.
because they
But it's a common meeting.
Starbucks has also been known. I think they've crafted the term third place. It's like it's a place
Uh-huh.
outside of home and a place outside of work where people can come together and just kind of
Yeah,
hang
yeah,
out.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like I can totally see that vibe
Yeah.
too.
It's a it's a common meeting place.
For sure, for sure. It is. Yeah. It's one of those things, man, I miss Starbucks. I haven't been to Starbucks in like over a year plus now. So it's
Yeah.
definitely one of those things I miss. But
Yeah. I like it. My favorite, they have like, they have like seasonal things. And they have this pistachio latte, like a pistachio syrup.
whoa,
And that's my very favorite. That's like my best. I actually
that's
the
like your
season
little treat.
oh my gosh, it's so good.
So how
So the
would you
season
order it? What does it sound like when you order that?
I would get like an iced pistachio latte, and it's chef's kiss, I'm telling you. But I was harassing these poor baristas because I'm like, you for a while because it's so limited, right? So then I'm
Yeah.
like a little anxious. So I'm like, you guys, when are we running out of pistachio? Like, how much pistachio do we have left?
Wow.
Where they get you on that like scarcity, they're
Yes.
like, not much left, so you have to get into it. So
Yes.
we're done with pistachio for 2025, which is okay. Because
Whoa.
I don't need that many little treats. But I'll be back in January and I'll harass the baristas again.
I was gonna say, dude, that's crazy. That
Right?
because there are other Starbucks out there that possibly still have pistachio. Wouldn't there be? No. So when it's out for all of them.
It's out. It's like seasonal. But this drives my husband crazy because any Starbucks we go to probably for the next like 3 months, I'll pull up and I'll be like, do you have pistachio? And they're like, ma'am, no, that ended like a year ago. And I'm like, hey, you've got to ask. You've got to ask.
I like
So,
that
and
mentality. I like it.
I will stop talking about the pistachio syrup in a minute. But one year, my office mates and I actually bought like a black market container. Like somebody at Starbucks probably like sold it on eBay, and
My
we
God.
bought one for our office, and it was like this big like thing.
Yes.
It was very fun. It was very funny of us, and
How long did that last?
it lasted too long. Like we got to the point where because there were 3 of us in that office, there were probably like 8 of us on that team, so we were all using it. We'd put it in our regular coffee. We were just like
Wow.
high on pistachio syrup all the time.
Yeah.
And but then it like the expiration, like it expired. So then we were
Oh.
like, maybe we should let it go. So I
Dude,
don't
that
even
thing
remember.
is huge then.
Yeah, it's like for the restaurant. It's like a big like pump situation.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, all that to say, till next pistachio season, hopefully you can get a visit into a Starbucks because I would love for you to try it. It's
Okay,
not sugar
sounds
free.
good.
It's like actually extra sugar. It's
Okay.
like not.
Well, that's also
Yeah.
that's also a reason why I like sugar-free is because if you notice, a lot of sugar-free stuff tastes extra sweet. So it's
It's really sweet.
yeah, so that's why it's yeah. It'll probably be on par for sweetness level for stuff that I like. So yeah, no, I'm excited
Yeah.
to try it for sure. So
Great. I can't wait.
yeah,
Thanks for following my recommendation.
so random. I love how we just got off the bat. We just went super random, and I love
Yes.
it. So speaking of random,
Yes.
like, how did you hear of this podcast? Like,
I
how did you hear about
yeah.
this?
I think that I saw Corey Alexander's post about it. And so I watched it and then I was like, "Oh, how cool." So, yeah, I've seen a lot
Awesome,
of them.
awesome.
And I
Thank
like
you.
to have it on like while I'm like making dinner, like have my
Yes,
earbud in, like so I play it on my phone. One time you were talking about phone, like who's
yes.
watching on their phone, but I'm like it's because it's like in my cupboard and I'm like making dinner and like cleaning the kitchen.
Okay,
So,
okay.
it's been nice to catch up
I
with
was
so
gonna
many
say,
people. People I didn't even know.
nice man. Now I'm actually so you wouldn't play it on your TV the same way you make dinner? No.
No, because I've got a no, because it just was like too, it would because I'm not everyone in my family would be like interested,
No,
respect.
no. See, exactly, exactly. Okay, so that makes sense.
And so it's
Yes,
more about like I'm kind of doing my thing and
yes.
multitasking and having it in my ear. So yeah,
No, that's so
yeah,
good. Okay, yeah, that's a perfect example. Because for this podcast, I think
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like 75% that people watch it on their phone. And now, I didn't think about that for that case for people to watch it, on their phones is like, yeah,
Yeah.
like everybody they're with is not going to want to watch this, random Spanaway podcast. So yeah,
Also, just like commuting. Like if you're like on the train or something, it's like
yeah,
then you can have
that's
fun. That's the
perfect.
other
Yeah,
time.
that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Train, back of an Uber, whatever.
Right, right, right.
Planes, like, yeah. So,
Thing.
no, that's
Yeah,
awesome. So, I like to start from the beginning and ask people, like, so where were you born? And then, like, when did you come to Spanaway?
yeah. So I was born actually in Spokane.
Okay.
So I was born in Spokane and lived in Spokane until I was like 10.
Okay.
Is that fifth grade? Fifth grade.
Yeah. Yep.
Fifth grade became so I have two older siblings.
I was just going to ask you. Okay.
Two older siblings. My sister's 10 years older than me. My brother's 8 years older than me. So my parents in Spokane were like having a hard time just like working, getting
Yeah.
job. Like there
Yeah.
was like just a lot of financial hardship, but their goal was to get my brother through high school.
Okay.
So my brother finished high school and then my family was like, let's go. And so we moved to Spanaway then. It was kind of a weird time because I had like lived with my siblings, but then when we moved to Spanaway, it was just my parents and I. So I have like this kind of certainly not an only child. Like I know I'm
Yeah.
very close with my siblings, but like that period of time, like I was like in a totally different place. My family's not military,
Yeah.
one of the few.
Yeah.
And so it was like different, like everything was different. And my brother and sister like stayed in Spokane. So yeah, that was when I came. And then we came, my mom is a teacher. And so my mom initially when we came, she worked at Clover Creek. And
Okay.
so I should have gone to Natchez Trail, like based on my neighborhood,
Yes.
but I went to Clover Creek instead in
'Cause your mom was
fifth
there.
grade because my mom was there. And I didn't
Yeah.
come over to Spanaway. Like I didn't come over to like live in Spanaway until the day before fifth grade started. Like
Wow.
I stayed in Spokane. My mom had another like job that she did in Spokane during the summer. So even in the summertime, like after we lived in Spanaway, we would go back.
To
My mom
Spokane.
taught my mom taught like foreign exchange students.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
she was always, we would like live in random, it's so
Yeah.
weird to me in retrospect, but we like live in different people's houses. Like we'd like house sit kind
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
and or on campus at Whitworth, which is where my mom worked
Okay.
at the college there. And so, and she was like teaching. And so I stayed in Spokane in the summers for a long time too.
That's so
So
weird back then. That's so normal today. That's like a normal thing today now for like people to do that. But for back then, that's like interesting, like super interesting for,
it was interesting.
yeah,
Yeah,
dang.
so we came, came like the day before fifth grade started, and started at Clover Creek. And yeah, then the next year, my mom actually moved to Thompson. My mom was at Thompson then for a long time, but I stayed at Clover Creek for sixth grade and then went to
Interesting.
Spanaway Junior from there.
Oh,
But
wow.
then switched to Spanaway Junior, but like everyone else from Clover Creek went to Cedar
Okay.
Crest. So Becky Fulton and Deanna and I all met well, they had known each other forever, but like we were all at Clover Creek. So we all decided to go to Spanaway together. And so that was like our little crew.
So
Like
like
we were
you guys were
close.
all supposed to come to Cedar Crest?
No, I don't. Okay. So listen, again, this is
I
like
mean,
hazy.
boundaries back then, this is what makes it so interesting too, because like boundaries and like, yeah.
Becky was definitely supposed to go to Cedar Crest. Like, I think Becky was the only one that like lived in where she should go to Clover Creek. I think Deanna moved in elementary school. So she should have gone to Natchez Trail also. So I think that what happened is when seventh grade started, Deanna and we were like, I mean, there's no way our parents aren't going to drive us out to Cedar Crest. There's not,
Yeah.
going to go to Cedar Crest. So we're like, we're going to go to Spanaway. And then Becky was like, well, me too. And so then we were all there. We were like kind of a package deal, even
Nice.
back
Hey.
then. So
No, that's dope.
yeah. But then coming into Spanaway, like when we came to Spanaway Junior High, like we didn't know anybody. Like we were,
Yes.
it was all new people to us.
Yes.
So it was kind of wild.
That is. I mean, so that's nice. You met those guys like real early at when you first got there. Real quick, how was that adjusting from, being new to the area in fifth grade and like just, plopping down into a new school, new everything?
Yeah, I knew everything. It was hard. When I was in Spokane as a kid, we moved around a lot. Like it wasn't the first time I had like changed schools, and like it was hard. And I think the hardest piece was like moving away from my brother. And like I think that was like, when I look back, I think that was like the most grief that I had, was just like switch to being an only child. And there was just a lot of differences. Like we lived in North Spokane. My brother and sister went to Meade High School.
Wow.
It was just culturally like insanely different than coming away. And so we didn't like it in a lot of ways. I think that there were more ways that I felt like related more to people that I was with, just because like in Spokane, my family like didn't have money but we were in a community where there was quite a bit of wealth. And so I think that like I never like quite fit in there either. So there were coming to one of the things about Spanaway that I love is just that there's so much more, like there's of course like so much ethnic diversity, but there's so much socioeconomic diversity too.
Yes.
Like I wasn't the only kid that like had, the cheap version of everything and was shopping at Sears outlet on South Tacoma Way. And it wasn't, I felt really like there was a lot more that felt relatable,
Did you say there was a Sears outlet? I didn't
Sears
realize.
outlet. Yeah.
Wow.
I remember.
When I think of cheap things at South Tacoma Way, I always think of Tacoma Discount, which is not there no more. But that was like one of my
other end, down by Steilacoom Boulevard.
Yeah, BNI.
Yeah, down
that area. Yeah.
Now I'm like, was it a fever dream? I don't know. I swear I remember going there, but it was, it just was different, and so it was hard. There was a lot of change, a lot of adjustment, but it also was kind of fine because I
Yeah.
had moved around a lot. It didn't feel too crazy. And I met Deanna in 5th grade. She was in my class. We were in a 5th, 6th split, and Deanna was in my class, and we
That's
were like,
right. They had those. I forgot a 5th, 6th split. Wow. That's the first time
right,
I've heard of that in
right,
a long
right.
time. I forgot that they even had those.
I did too, until I actually totally did, until I found like the pictures. So when I show you photos, I have the class picture, and
That sounds like such a crazy thing, but I'm like, no, that actually was kind of normal. They had a couple of those where it was like a 5th, 6th grade. It was like one teacher that taught both subjects at the same time.
right. Yeah, yeah,
Dang.
yeah.
Those
Yeah, I
teachers are
don't know
kind of
how that
gangster.
actually works.
I
Yeah,
know.
right?
Well,
Wild.
because I don't think I was never in any of those, but I do remember those classes where you had, man, I just shout out to those teachers that did the
Right?
splits, man. Damn, that's
Shout
kind
out
of,
Miss Hersey. Yeah. It sounds chaotic,
yeah,
but
no,
yeah, it was good. So I was connected to Deanna really quickly, and that, and other friends. I had other friends in elementary school. Um,
I'm surprised how close you were with your siblings with that huge gap, like that's
right?
tight that you guys are, even with that huge gap that you felt that emotional connection
Yeah. Yeah.
way back
We
then,
were.
so
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that's
I think it's
awesome.
it's interesting. I think that sometimes when people talk about like age gaps with kids, because I'm like, especially now currently, I mean, I'm still really close with my siblings,
Oh, that's awesome.
closer than most siblings. And I'm like, I think that like the age gap doesn't always matter. Like
Yeah.
there's other parts. It's different. I mean, it's different. Like my sister had her kids when we were in high school.
Whoa.
And so like I have
So
grown
there's some
like
old
my
ass
sister,
kids basically right now. Damn, they're all like
yeah,
almost
they're
30 pretty much,
they
so
are. Yeah,
oh my,
29 and 20 and 27. One of them was born the year we graduated in 98.
my gosh. Yeah.
Right. But I think that piece like also then changed our relationship, because I was really close, especially when I was in high school. I was really close with my sister's kids. I took
Yeah,
being
that's
an aunt
awesome.
very seriously. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
now
So
you're
anyway,
yeah. So now you're at
go
Spanaway,
ahead.
and you guys are like. So what was that like? Going into Spanaway Junior,
Yeah.
coming from Clover Creek.
It was hard. I mean, it was
Yeah,
hard because we were just so dorky and so like, I mean, which is every 7th grader, right? Like, I
yes,
don't think it was, we were, but I think that we were, we were so self-conscious. We were so like trying to find our place and trying to figure out who we were. And so I think, that piece was, I think that there were times where we got picked on a little bit, and which I think is, normal
yeah,
middle school, junior high, middle school stuff. But it was just different. It was just different to go from like that being, everybody's kind of connected, and then being like, oh, who are we? Where are we? So I remember 7th grade being really hard. I remember we became friends with Marcy, and she was like such a sweet person. And like there were other friends that we had, and we got more comfortable. And then we decided like that then it was like fine after 7th grade. Yeah.
yeah. 7th grade for me it was probably one of my tougher. It was probably my toughest
Yeah.
year for sure. It's like
Right.
the change was different, and then you're right. It's like, man, it's such a different mentality coming from elementary school where everything's so structured, and then like junior high just felt like it was just everything just seemed chaotic, like
Right.
as coming from a place that's so structured, and you're staying in one room the whole day, and then now you're like kind of going all over the place, and then the social dynamics too just changes everything too. Now you're like, like we're all like the dorky 7th graders now, and not
Yeah.
understanding stuff. So no,
Yeah.
that makes
And
sense.
it wasn't, there was nothing like awful that I can think of specifically, but it just was like it's just an awkward time generally
It
for
is.
everybody. So I think that it was like generally awkward, just
Yes.
how we were. And then I was good friends with Becky and Deanna still. And then Becky decided to like be cool. And so then she was like, then we kind of were like figuring out how to be cool, which was mostly just being like, oh, we're going to be like very grunge. We're going to
Yeah.
have this whole kind of counterculture
Find a
attitude. And
niche. But you guys were like finding
yeah,
like a niche back then, like, and
yeah,
like something that were, because I think that's basically, I mean, that still works today. That's still like a lot of people are just trying to find their niche of like whatever it is. And, because I think the thing that sucks about being insecure is that you're trying to be a million different things, and then the one
yeah,
thing that you really need to be is kind of yourself. And so like,
absolutely.
and I think that
Yeah,
it's so hard to find yourself when you have all these pressures of like what you think you should be, what you think is cool, what other people want you to be. And so I think like, people still struggle with that today, so it's so funny how like
absolutely.
we make fun of ourselves from junior high, but it's like, man, a lot of us are still going through that, like the identity crisis today as far as
Yeah,
figuring things out.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that piece, like in kind of figuring out who you are, navigating relationships, navigating like all of the stuff that comes up in middle school, which is just newer around like romantic relationships and
Yeah.
identity and what does it mean to be like this group or this group or this group that were, kind of
Yeah.
arbitrary. It's fascinating. It was really interesting to me to listen to other folks talk.
Yeah.
Bree was talking about Mr. Sherman's class, which he was a science teacher, and she's talking about like field trips and like exploring caves.
Yes.
And I'm like, I have nothing. I have none of these of these like beautiful memories. And I think, I
Well,
just
Randy
never
has a picture of Bree in those caves too, which was so random in his episode. Yeah, he showed like he was like, yeah, remember Bree brought up the caves, and then like Randy randomly had a picture from junior high in these caves, and I was just like, wow, I can't. Randy has this random treasure trove of like he's probably going to come back on, but he has like a million pictures from junior high, so like, and high school, but
yeah,
like it's amazing how many junior high pictures he has, because
same.
it's like, and I'm almost 1,000% sure there's pictures of you in there too as well. So it's like, because he has so many, he was just pulling them out, and I was just like, dude, where's all this coming from? And so we were kind of
What
making fun
is
of
all
him.
this? Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't have those kind like I don't think I never was like super good at being super involved in school. So I'm like maybe that was like something we were supposed to sign up for and Bree was on it. Um
I also like to for anybody that had a camera back then, that's all like you really needed.
yeah, that's true.
And like, I think those are kind of expensive too. Like, just those regular cameras. I mean, expensive for Spanaway,
Yeah, yeah,
so, but it's basically one of those things where we're so spoiled today as far as we all have a camera everywhere we go now. And,
right.
in junior high, especially just mid 90s, it's kind of like, a lot of people had cameras, but not really. But like kids didn't have cameras. So for kids taking, that's why I'm like, man, Randy is like, I don't think he understands how valuable a picture, like just
Yeah.
having those pictures, it almost doesn't even matter who's in them. It's the fact that you have pictures from the 90s, like in good condition, dude, that's kind of special to have
There's some good ones.
those memories,
Yeah.
you know?
I found more than I thought I would, like looking back. I found a fair amount of photos. So, but I think like Tiana and Becky both, I think, have tons of photos too. So they'd be
Can't
interesting.
wait to,
You'll have to get them on.
yes, for sure, for sure.
But yeah, so middle school, I think one of the other questions that I have about Spanaway Junior High is that you were talking about like in ninth grade going to this math class at the high school.
Yes. Yep.
Do you remember, like, were there people from Spanaway doing that too? Or was it
Yeah.
just Cedar Crest? It
No.
was Spanaway?
Yeah, like Larry Larson. I said Larry Larson was in that class. Brian
Yeah.
Green was in that class. And those guys were eighth graders. So that was crazy we were in ninth grade, the only two eighth graders that were there were from Spanaway Junior, and it was those two.
Wow.
Robert was in that class. So that was cool for me because like he went to Evergreen. and
Yeah,
then like Robert disappeared for because most Evergreen people went to Cedar Crest, and so like
right.
it was weird. I didn't see him for 2 years, and like 2 years basically no contact. And then like that ninth grade when I was like, oh snap, Robert's here again. And then so like Robert was in that class, and then who else from Spanaway Junior was in that class? Can't remember who else, but there was
Interesting.
I'm thinking about like man, there was a bunch of us Cedar Crest folks that were in there
Interesting.
because and I will go back, but Robert was pretty smart. And I think I kind of brought this up again in like other ones, but it was yeah, man, I'm trying to think who else was from Spanaway that was in that class, because it was, now that I think about it, it's like, man, were those the only Spanaway people? Because basically we also, it was so funny, it was like awkward at first, but in that first period, so it was the first period of the day.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we all had to like, there's like 10 of us ish. And then we all got to get up from our seats. And then like, we basically leave the class like 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the bell rings. And so it's like, because we got to go catch the bus.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. And so
That's wild. That's like an adolescent nightmare to have to like get up at the end of class at the high school. Yeah.
well, and then we also, I mean, I don't know how the other people felt, but like, I definitely felt like, oh yeah, we're the nerds in that math class, because we're like the little junior high kids just going back to junior high. So I
Yeah.
definitely felt like a big old nerd just being at Spanaway Lake like that
Yeah.
first period. And then yeah, but it was cool though I just think it was also like as the rest of ninth grade went on, we found there's just little weird things, just like being able to sleep in if you didn't want to, like you just had to catch that first bus, like basically. So like randomly there was times I would catch that bus. I would miss the first period for the math class, but I would be there to catch the bus and then go to Cedar Crest, because Cedar Crest is far, compared to, and I lived right next to Spanaway Lake. So for me, it was like, yeah.
Yeah. I would love to see a boundary map from that era. You know what I mean? Where I'm
Yes.
like over there by the high school. I can't understand the boundaries.
Yes. It's because it's so crazy. Just looking back, and for a lot of us that lived on 168th, a lot of us could have easily went to Spanaway Junior with Robert, because it was like, yeah, it was just kind of crazy. Like I lived on 14th, and then like Joel Martinez and Chip Wade, they lived kind of by me on like 15th and 16th and
Close.
17th. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like
Yeah.
just finding out, like Randy was saying that he lived on 17th, and it's like, see, like, and it's so, yeah. And it's weird because, and then Robert and James lived on 21st, and then like Daniel lived on 19th. So like, yeah, it's just
Wild.
interesting how it just split us up for junior high. But then, high school, we all basically
It all worked
went
out.
right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is so weird, but so now so did you do any like extracurriculars when you were at Spanaway Junior?
No, not really. Just like bummed around. In Spanaway in ninth grade, my aunt came to live with us, and she was dying. And so she came, she was on
Whoa.
hospice at my house. So ninth grade was really weird. I stopped going to school kind of full, like I stopped when she was living at our house.
Wow.
And I did a lot of I was doing like some homeschooly kind of stuff, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think any of it was like formalized, but so ninth grade's kind of a blur to me. I was really close with Anna Anthony in ninth grade, and she was a good friend. Becky and Deanna were doing cheerleading with Christy Morgan. They were they were less close during that period. So yeah, that was kind of a weird stage for me, just because I wasn't involved in, I
Yeah.
literally wasn't going to school. Like I was at home. I was with my aunt. My aunt passed away in spring of ninth grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was, the experience of it, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't trade it.
Yeah.
But it did like socially impact me pretty significantly, because I was depressed, obviously.
Yeah.
I was pretty like traumatized
Yeah.
by the whole thing. And so it changed then what like the rest of, especially like then going into high school, like after that, like coming back, I was in a really different place just in terms of my mental health. Like I was a really depressed kid at that point, like starting high school. I had big anxiety. I had big anxiety attacks. And so I feel like that really shaped then what like the end of junior high and early high school looked like for me. It changed my engagement a lot with all of it, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a weird part. So I wasn't involved in like sports or
Yeah.
anything. We
Yep.
were around. If I was doing social stuff, it was hanging out at the wagon wheel and everybody's just like chain smoking and drinking coffee at like 14 years old at the wagon wheel.
Yeah.
Whatever, it worked.
Yeah.
It was those were the times. But yeah, I wasn't very socially involved at that point.
Yeah. At least with school stuff for sure, sounds like, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, just socially, generally. I think Anna was the only person I saw through that period. So, anyway, but then it was okay. Then
yeah, so
we
then how did you get
started.
through how'd you get through high school? How's that? So now you're in high school now and like you start off in
Honest
like
to God, I don't
a
know how I
crazy
got through
mind.
high school.
Yeah, you're in a crazy mind space. So not only is it
Yeah.
like new school, new stuff, and now we're bottom of the barrel again, like we were in seventh grade and stuff. And so your sophomore, yeah, like dude,
Yeah.
how'd you get through that first year? Like,
First year, yeah. But when we were sophomores, we were hanging out with people. We were hanging out with other friends that were older than us. So there
nice.
was anxiety wasn't the same way coming into it.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
it was more I don't know how I got through it. I think I was sophomore year is when I became good friends with Billy and I became good friends with Matt Weathers. And so I love those guys. And Matt and I met in the like drama class.
Okay.
And so Matt was in there and Jeff Abbott, I think, was in there. And we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun there. I became friends with Billy. Socially, we were like getting into quite a bit of trouble. We weren't always, super engaged in school. We were probably making choices that I wouldn't want my own child to make. I'm just going to be real. Like
No, I love it. I love the realness.
not involved in school.
I love how
I
real
was
it is, and then how wise your word choice is too. It's like as real as you can be without like
yeah.
being a total snitch, So
Yeah,
on
no,
like
no, no.
so I love it.
Yeah, no, I think I think that there was just a reality that like when I think back and when I think of like the setting that we were in and I think about like who we were with and when I think about all of the mental health stuff that was the present, I'm like, it was kind of a perfect storm for like trouble to find us. And so
Yeah.
there was a lot. And I think we're obviously like, we're all okay and everybody's good. But I think that period, it makes me sad, honestly, when I look back at a lot of high school and especially like hearing other people's stories about high
Mm,
school through the
yeah.
podcast, where I'm like, God, like I just miss, like I don't think that I had any understanding of like the amount of stuff that was available. Like I was always like, oh, we're like we're all kind of like fuck ups. And
Yeah.
then now listening to these podcasts, I'm like, it turns out I was a fuck up. And so like thinking about, there was more available. There were classes that people were taking that were good. I just
Yeah.
wasn't in them. Like I just was
Yeah.
like not engaging in the same way. So I think that it's like I'm really serious. Like it's been an interesting shift to hear this perspective because I was like, oh, we're all in this together. Like none of us are thriving. And I'm like, oh man, there were some people doing some really cool stuff.
Yes.
And who have like been very successful. And I feel successful as an adult and I feel successful. Like I think our lives take us exactly where we need to be. Like I don't have regret. I think that it just is an interesting, like eye-opening experience, if that makes sense.
1,000%. I think what you learn is like some of the things I think that you're talking about is I'm surprised at how much agency some of our peers had during that time period. But I feel like there is this weird sort of cloud that comes with being from Spanaway that kind of talks about where kind of your thought process of, because I felt the same way too, where it was like, I felt like, yeah, man, a lot of people looked at all of us as like we were kind of fuck ups, you know what I mean? And like, whether that's true or not, and I don't think that is, but I feel like that mentality is always kind of like laying over us,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I don't know if that's because that's a Spanaway thing or if
Yeah.
that's and I just think that mentality is kind of what keeps a lot of people back, and like a lot of people from shooting for things that they could be shooting, like could be dreaming bigger of. And I think
Yeah.
like getting past that mentality is one of the biggest struggles I've had just in my life is, and like not to blame Spanaway for any of it, but I just feel like there is like this weird mental blockage that, I mean, I think it happens to just a lot of people in general. And like for some of us, we could say, like some of us could blame Spanaway for it. Some of us blame our parents for it. Some of us blame, society, the president, whoever, like, so there's so many different ways to kind of hold yourself back. And I think for me, like in partly of in starting to do this and starting to do just like random things, you just kind of find that that's not necessarily always the case, and that there's like a deeper truth if you're willing to face it. And then like
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
once you kind of face it, like a lot of the things that you mentally block yourself from is your own self blocking you from those things. It's one of those
Yeah.
weird, it's in, I don't know. That's where I just find like I love doing these because it's like just, I think it helps me like, and then so it's so ironic that you're a therapist because I use this as my own sort of therapy to kind of like talk through that time period with people and like in a safe space and just kind of like deconstruct like a lot of like these memories that we have. And we briefly talked before, and it was actually going really deep too before, but we were just kind of talking about how like how this podcast allows us to have deeper conversations with people, and that I was basically saying how there's this like for our age group, we went from, we see each other in high school, we lose touch with friends because social media is not a thing yet. Social media comes out. Now we are kind of in touch with people, but now social media has been out for like 10, 50 years now, and there's so many different platforms, and you can still be connected with people, but still not know exactly how they're doing. And so
Yeah.
now this
Yeah.
gives us a chance to basically dive deep into seeing how people are doing. And then it also just really gives us a space to just like, man, sit back and just kind of talk about some of these things that we didn't know about our classmates. And then like, it also brings up like one of my favorite things is like how it sparks memories that I forgot that I had. And then like somebody will in like other podcasts will bring up something. And did you have any of those type of moments and like listening to any of the other or does anything stick out from any of those other podcasts that maybe somebody brought up and you're like,
I think there's been like a handful of like teachers' names or people's names where I've been reminded.
you're like, whoa, I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting talking to you about, or when you were talking about choir, because I was in
Yes.
choir in 10th grade.
Yes.
And then I tried out for the like
Music
elite
company.
choir,
Music
music
company.
company.
Yeah.
And you said that you did also,
I tried out
but
every
then
year.
you did it your senior year?
I finally got it senior year. So like I tried out sophomore year, didn't get it. And then junior year, didn't get it. And then senior year, I finally got in.
I love that so much for you because I tried out sophomore year and I was like, forget this. I'll never forget this. I quit choir. I like never was in again after that.
But you
And
didn't,
so no, I didn't even stay in like the choir class. I was like,
wow.
peace done, which
Wow.
is stupid, Heinz.
Yeah.
Like that
Cause
was not,
just the
it's
regular
like,
choir class, I mean, it was it's like one of the easiest grades that you can get. It's
dang, I
fun.
love the danger zone.
Yes. And and
Yeah.
and then there was like, and then we usually had a trip. So like those three things, it was like easy grade, it was fun, it was just a chill class. It was like no, like you didn't have to worry about tests or nothing in there. And then like the year ended with a trip, and so
Yeah. No, it was not thought out. It was like
yeah,
an,
you were
I
so
was so
pissed that you didn't make
defensive.
it. Yeah, you were
Yeah,
pissed that you didn't
that
make
was
it.
like
Yeah.
a classic thing that I would do where I'm like, forget that. I don't want it anyways. I'm not going to be in choir ever again. So that's smart. That was
Well, and then, like James was one of my, he was one of my closest friends, and he was obviously the
yeah,
very first episode of this, but he was
yeah,
in every year. He was in sophomore, junior, senior year. So that's partly why I like kind of stuck with it. Cause I feel like maybe if he wasn't there, I don't know, maybe if I might not have tried as hard as I did to
yeah. That
keep
makes
trying
sense.
to get in. But the fact that he was in there, I was like, man, I just wanted to kind of be in there too, because he was in there. So it's kind of like he kind of like he wasn't like trying to motivate me, but I was motivating myself because I just kind of wanted to be in that
Yeah.
class with him. And then,
Oh,
I
that's
just,
really sweet. And
yeah,
like also like cool that you like continued to try. Like I feel like your path to that, there's wisdom in that. In like
no,
young,
for sure.
young.
It's so crazy that you look at it like that, because I didn't even look at it like that. But you're so right. I think that's like a better. It's I love stories like that, and like it's funny how I can't even see that own story in myself, that was a thing that I did, and it's like, oh damn, that is a thing that, because there
Yeah,
is
you
something to persevering, after failure, because it's
absolutely.
so. No, thank you for bringing that up. Dang, it's like, see that
Yeah.
you're definitely you're good at what you do. So like,
Thanks, Heinz. So then so I wonder sometimes like with that with music company if it would have changed anything. But then we and I and maybe Becky also we did Running Start then like junior
oh,
year,
yeah, yep,
which I sometimes people will ask me like if they think Running Start would be a good fit for their like
yes,
high schooler, and I'm like for some people I'm sure this is like a wonderful thing. For me in 1997 it was
yes,
not. It was a poor choice.
really,
It was like because they're like, here, go to your classes. We went all the way out to the Silicon campus in our
wow,
junior year, like
wow,
midday. So
yeah,
we had a pass from Spanaway Lake because they were like, oh, you're Running Start. So I think we were supposed to go to Pierce in the morning and then and then be back at Spanaway in the afternoon. Like nobody really was checking in the
yeah.
way, and we were not. Let me speak for myself. I was not to be trusted with that much freedom and accountability. So like
So hold
going,
on. Can
yeah,
you
yeah,
give me like a basic week of being on Running Start for it? Because I never took Running Start, and
oh
there's
yeah, yeah.
probably some people that have, but maybe some others that didn't. So like, what would a normal week look like for a Running Start student?
So I think we had classes. Deanna and I always took all the same classes,
Wait,
and
so wait, no,
so
actually go back before that. What is Running Start for people that maybe don't even know what Running Start is?
Running Start is like it's a wonderful program for mature young people. It is a program where you can take college credits when you're in high school. So instead of going to the high school, you go to like a community college, and it's everywhere. Like you can do this, where I live close to Highline College. I live in Des Moines. You can like do it here. You're in high school.
And then do
You
you have
go
to
over.
pay for that?
No, it's free.
Oh, damn, that's
So if you're, and I'm sure this is some people that we grew up with, I don't know who they are, but if you're like responsible, you go to Running Start, you take classes, and then when you graduate from high school, you graduate with an associate's degree also.
yes, yes.
Isn't that like, so then you're like ready to go in. If you go to like a 4-year school, you
I don't know if you
midway.
remember Jenny. I think Jenny did that. I think when
Yeah,
she,
yeah.
yeah. So
There was like
there's
a
a
fair amount of people that did it.
so smart. Looking back, I'm like, damn, that is so. But so that's Running Start. Now, what was the week like a average week in Running Start? Because there is something that I do have against that, but it's very minor. But
I do too. I do too.
yeah,
I think that there are benefits and there are drawbacks.
yes,
For us and where we lived, we were like, in Spanaway, like you could go to the Puyallup campus or the Stillicum campus of Pierce College. And both of them are pretty far.
deep. Yes, I was just gonna say,
Like
yeah.
it's neither of them are super close to us, but we went out to the Stillicum campus and Deanna's dad actually worked out there. And so it felt like, oh, that's cool. We had maybe a 9 o'clock class a 10 o'clock class, an 11 o'clock class. So I think I took 3 classes at Pierce and then came back to Spanaway and took like, I don't know what. There was like a biology class, maybe. I don't know. I don't even remember what the classes were, honestly. I know there was a history
So
class.
you would
And I
start
know
out there. So you would start at
I
the
would start
community
out there.
college. Oh,
Yeah. So
wow.
I would get up, I would go pick up Deanna because I drove, and then we would drive all the way out to Stillicum. But sometimes we'd be driving and it was like a beautiful day. And we were like, you know what? Should we instead,
Of course.
should
Yeah.
we go out to Stillicum Park and say, should we keep driving? Should we stop and get, whatever?
Yes.
Focus. And I think that a lot of people have this happen when they're freshmen in college,
Yes.
when you first start at classes and you're like, oh, nobody cares if I'm there or not, right? Like they're not like taking attendance the way that like
Yeah.
they are when you're in high school.
Yeah.
So that freedom for me, that was not a win. That
Yeah.
didn't work for me. But so I don't know if I passed those classes. I mean, I graduated on time, so I must have passed.
So this is Monday
But
through Friday, though. You're going to Stillicum.
every day.
Whoa.
It's every
Okay.
day. And then for us at least, I'm pretty sure it was every day. But then, so when you look at like where can things fall apart? It's like, so I have to go all the way out there to the campus, and then I have to come back to
Yeah.
Spanaway Lake, like during lunchtime.
Yeah.
Like that for me was a challenge.
Yes.
So anyway, Deanna and I did not do Running Start our senior year. We pretty much like tanked out. Think I passed everything because I graduated on time, but I don't honestly understand how that's true. So, because I was not a successful student at Pierce College as a Running Start student. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah. Then senior year we were like around more and a little more engaged.
It's so funny that you took Running Start your junior year only.
It's actually crazy. It's a wild.
I think it's also kind of cool too, because like you kind of like got that out of your system. Because I think another thing about Running Start that I don't like is that now you're kind of robbing the full high school experience, like even though you're still there, but you're not really there. And so I think that, and it's tough to say too, because a lot of my senior year, I missed a lot of school just for being, a senior and just like, just kind of looking ahead to things and just thinking that I've already done what I needed to do to get through that phase.
Right.
But I do think that there is some, because it is kind of like, man, you do kind of have like, well, I have some pretty good memories with friends and just from being in school. So that's why I see how tough it was for COVID, for people to not be together during that time period for school, because it kind of brings up that same sort of like not being in a place physically is just, it's different. So
yeah, we were isolated in a different way. And I think that it was a good call to be like back at Spanaway Lake for our senior year.
Yeah.
We still have like attendance issues, but I think that we were more present with other seniors. Like most of my memories of other people from Spanaway, like it's like senior year stuff.
Nice. Yeah. Because you did some extracurriculars your senior year. Kind of. Well, I mean, it was a class, but...
Oh, yeah. I did in video productions.
Yes.
Is that what you're thinking about?
Yeah, and it sucks because that man, I was gonna show videos from that, but every time I do, it doesn't work. And what's crazy, because Tony Sai, who was in that class, he posted it on YouTube, and then YouTube took it down because of copyright. Because I think there's one song on there that is. There's like one song that takes the whole thing down. And I'm like, dude, that sucks, because I was going to play.
Yes. Yeah. I posted one on my Instagram, actually, that was the like how to be cool.
Yes. Oh, wait. Hold up. Do you have that on your computer?
I might actually. I remember I got a copy of it. I don't know how.
Yes.
It maybe was when Tony posted it. And then, so I like picked out that part because it's so ridiculous.
Yes.
I'm like,
I love it. I love that video, by the way.
It's very funny. That class was, so I guess I could say pretty confidently, that was like probably my favorite class of high school.
For sure.
We were the like end of the day video production class. So we didn't do the news and stuff. We just
Yes.
made those kind of videos. So, and it was me and Matt Weathers and
See, I think I would
Deanna.
have had more fun because I was in the other class. I was in the
The
morning
video,
class.
like the
Yes.
morning announcements and stuff.
Yes. So I did
Yeah,
like a lot of the morning announcement stuff.
we were just writing those videos and like just messing around all the time. It was so
I
fun.
wish I took both because I think I might have only been in there. No, I think I took it the whole year, but I think I only had the morning class because I
Yeah.
think I would have loved to be in the evening class and do more silly videos like that. And like, because I would have loved that too. Like, I think
Oh, it was so
but
fun.
because we had to do the news every day, like that was basically the like kind of what we were all, all hands on deck for that, like putting those announcements out. And so, because
Yeah.
we didn't really have as many, I didn't feel like we didn't really have as much time to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Do you
That
have
was
any like behind the scenes stuff from making that video? Like who thought of that? Who thought of that video?
that was
And
Matt. That was Matt Weathers. Matt. So like we would like write out a script,
it's
and then
huge.
we would have to like act it out. We had so much. It was like there were a bunch of people in that class that we just all really got along and had
Yeah,
so
that's
much fun.
see, that's OG YouTube right there. Literally,
Yeah.
that's OG. Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like people our age, like we know our way around the camera because of like back
Yeah.
then. Like, you know what I mean? So I feel like there should be more creators our age, even if they think it's like, I just feel like, man, we have it in us. It's in our DNA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because of like, yeah, right. And I think that brings out like this whole creative bug in us. And it's like, and I want to see more because I think the way we see the world is so unique. And
Yeah.
I can connect with people our age that see the world the same way with the things that we grew up with and like how we view things. And I think there's a huge gap in the market, especially on YouTube, because I feel like, man, the 20 and 30-year-olds, man, they know kind of like how to make their type of videos and things like that. But I think there's, for the 40 and over club, like for people that used to make videos, like all of us that used to in the 90s, I think they need to get back in the game. I think they need to get back in the game and like start like, chipping away and making videos and having fun again. Because I think at the least, the fun that you can have just making dumb videos, and like I just feel like there's something there. So that's
Oh,
why,
it's so silly. It's like
yes,
I feel like that's the part. Like I think that there's like a piece about like I love stuff that's funny, but I love stuff that's like silly. And
yes,
there's a different kind of vulnerability. And the stuff that we were doing in Mr. Martin's class, it's like it's all so ridiculous. And
yes,
we just had so much fun. Those are some of my like very favorite memories of high
yeah,
school.
no,
Yeah.
and like you guys did great in those videos. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
you guys had a full on hat. Yeah, I mean, you guys had to act and like you had to like
Yeah.
do some great stuff. So that's why it's like
Yeah.
that's why I love like the agency. And I think like you may have said like how kind of like sometimes we're so dumb or what, just being that age, we're just kind of dumb and like naive, but that's a superpower too. That dumb naivety is such a
Yeah.
crazy superpower that it allows you to do things that you're not supposed to do, that it just like it's amazing. So
Yeah. There's a different kind of vulnerability when you're not even conscious of like how stupid it is in
yes,
this way. You know what I mean? Where I think that like as adults we're like working for perfectionism,
yes,
and
and
it's
then
like,
we're more
oh, if I put this
reserved
out, yeah,
and we
yeah,
have more
yeah, and
to
if I put this out,
lose.
right. And so thinking about that kind of vulnerability but with a vulnerability without recognizing that you're being vulnerable because you're just being ridiculous and
Yes,
filming it. Fun.
1,000%.
Yeah,
Speaking
it's
of
good.
being vulnerable and stuff, and then you just kind of brought it up. I think this might be a good time to share those images
Yeah,
that
let
you
me show
have.
you what I got.
Yeah.
Show you what I got.
Hey, before we take a look at these old school Spanaway pictures, did you know I'm also a licensed life insurance broker? That's right. I help folks just like you make sure your family's protected no matter what life throws your way. Look, I know talking about life insurance isn't exactly exciting, but as your Swayside connector who understands our community, I can make the process painless and actually kind of pleasant. Whether you have young kids at home or you're thinking about retirement, I'm licensed across Washington, Arizona, Texas, and Virginia to find you coverage that fits your life and budget. Hit me up after the show because the best time to get life insurance was yesterday. The second best time, today. Let's chat. No pressure, just protection. Let's go.
Here we go. Okay. So this is that 5th, 6th grade class. Can
That's
you see that
awesome.
okay?
Yeah, I think you could zoom. Oh, yep. Zoom in. You can zoom in a little bit more.
Oh, I'm on. There we go. So there is that class with
Wow.
folks. So Deanna's there in the front. I'm in the middle with my eyes closed between Jenny Osher and Spencer Hunt. But yeah, lots of people that I feel like we ended up graduating with. Some of these people, some people I don't remember at all, honestly.
Dude, I love these. This is a dope picture.
Right? I know, I like it. I like it too.
Yo.
What else?
Clover
Here's
Creek
Becky and Deanna and
representing.
I, right at the Tacoma Mall in our.
Dang.
This is like probably as we're entering 7th grade, so we're just like
6th
little
grade going
tiny
into 7th.
cuties.
Yeah.
Yeah, little tiny baby cuties. This is when I tried to get a haircut like China Phillips from Wilson Phillips.
Yes. Yep.
I don't know if you remember that trio.
Yes.
But my hair didn't do it. So bad news on that. This is a dance at Spanaway Junior High that we looked absolutely tortured to be at, but we had fun.
Yeah, that's
so it makes me. I have this actually because this is I think 8th grade, maybe I think 8th grade. I work with in the work that I do, I work with teenagers and young adults, and so for 15 years that I've been doing the work that I do, I have this picture actually hanging in my office just to remind me of being a teenager. So
who you're helping out?
fun. Yeah, exactly. This is Anna, and she passed away when we were in our early 20s, but is a really good friend. So shout out to her.
I don't know if it froze on me. Did your okay? Oh, no, okay. Now I caught up.
Did it?
Now I caught up. Okay.
Good.
Yep. Now I can see.
These are my
cars now. Can you zoom in?
Cars. Yeah, I would be glad to.
Yeah.
This is my first car, which was a 1981 Plymouth Horizon. And this is my dad and his friend, Clancy. And this car cost $300.
What a deal.
I would like take a hard right and the keys would fly out of it and it would keep running. I didn't know how to drive a stick. When I got it, I couldn't drive a stick. And my dad was like, well, you better learn because I had a job. And so he was like, get to work. So it was hard. And then I lived right by Robbie Dacier was my neighbor. We lived right. We drove to school together all through high school and junior high, I think. But so we were in a pretty bad accident in this car pretty soon after I got it, like right over on 22nd, like in front of the corner store.
Yes.
Somebody pulled out in front of me, like on our way to school. And so car got totaled. It was scary.
Man. And that car was a stick?
Yeah. It was a stick, but it was a crazy stick. I like you had to like push down and go around to go in reverse. It was wild. It was again, it was $300.
So wait, how did you learn how to drive? Just trial by error?
Well, trial by error. Yeah. I worked, I think the summer after our sophomore year, I was working as a full-time babysitter during the summer.
Gotcha.
And so I had to go to that job. And so my dad was like, and it was like in like Puyallup-ish. And so my dad was like, yeah, figure it out. And it would be sitting in third and like drift over to first. So it was a hard car to learn how to drive on. And my dad was like, if you learn how to drive this car, you will know how to drive any car ever.
That's so true.
I feel like he's right. He's right. So true. So, and this was my car then that I drove after that one got totaled. This is Deanna and I sitting on my like beloved car that I drove into the ground.
Was that a stick?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have an automatic until like I was in my 30s, I think. I
Wow.
kept driving stick.
I
Yeah,
love stick. Yeah.
even after I moved to Seattle, which was more challenging.
Yes. Way more hills, way more
I mean, my clutch
traffic.
burnout, like trying to
Yes.
get up to Capitol. Yeah. So what else? Let me zoom out. I tried to find ones that were at the school. So this is like,
This is dope. That's a dope picture.
yeah, that's with Fred and
Zoom in
Tim and
again on
Jeff
that one a little
Stewart.
bit.
My zooming skills are, yeah, that like hangout spot.
Yeah.
I don't remember Fred's last name,
I was
which
going to
has been
say.
bothering me since I found this picture.
Because who's in that picture?
This is Jeff Stewart.
Jeff Stewart. That's right.
That's me. This is Fred, who was in Matt's band. They were in the same like punk rock band.
Okay.
And then Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then here's Deanna and I with the attendance lady whose name I don't remember.
Oh, that's right.
But
Yes.
we were tight with her because we literally were never at school. So
smart. You just
would
were
always give
smart.
us- Yeah, at the end of and I worked at a coffee shop through like junior and senior year. And so,
Oh,
and
on
I
top
worked
of
a lot.
babysitting.
What's that?
On top of the babysitting.
Yeah, it was like after that babysitting was like a summer gig. And then I
Gotcha.
started our junior year, I started working at this coffee shop. So we would bring her coffees because we would always go get coffee before school. So we'd bring her coffees and we were always so sweet and she would always excuse our absences. And so, yeah.
Dude, I wonder how much free stuff those attendance people got. Because I think Chrissy was talking about coming in with like donuts. And so I was like,
Right?
dude, you guys are giving them coffee. People are bringing in donuts. It's like, dude, milking it.
Milking
this is a
it.
dope picture. Man, this, like, just this parking lot picture just, man, brings back memories of, right? Because that's right outside of
I
school.
know. Yeah. This is like the senior parking lot.
Yeah.
So it's Shania and Kim and me and Tommy.
Can you zoom in a little bit on this one too? Because, dude, that might be my car in the back.
Really?
Maybe.
Where?
The blue.
Here.
No. Because I had a blue 87 Cavalier, and it kind of looks like it on the right.
Over
but
here. Yeah. This was like, I have no idea what's going on. Hold on. Let me zoom out. Oh, this is funny. Remember how like we had that crazy, this is newspaper. This is like
you were in newspaper too. Dang.
I was in newspaper senior.
You're in some extracurricular. I'll try to ask you and you're like, and I'm like, dude,
I never done extracurricular in my life.
I mean, those are kind of, because it's video productions and then newspaper is huge too. So yeah.
So we were in newspaper and Mr. Wolf.
Yes.
Okay. Remember when you like would go and register for a class, right? So Deanna and I did this thing where we like took all the same classes always. So we needed all the same classes by the end of senior year. But they had put us on this list. They were like, there's a list, but there's not a list, saying that we couldn't be in the same class because we were too disruptive when we were together.
Whoa.
And so we go and try to register.
No way. They were not that smart.
Go try to register. They were like, you guys can't both be in this class. And so, but we were like, well, what do you want us to do then? We have the same requirements because we've taken all the same classes. And so we went, and so Mr. Wolf, I hope Deanna's okay with this. He specifically did not like Deanna. And so he did not want to let her in. But then I was like, well, we have to. I was like, I'm not in unless Deanna's in. We were like, going. Deal. And so he let us both in, and you can see in this picture his face, he like regretted every minute of it. My favorite thing though was that then our senior year, Deanna and I had decided in 7th grade that we were going to go be on The Price is Right after we turned 18.
Nice.
So we planned this whole trip to LA.
Yeah.
Spring break of our senior year to go on The Price is Right. And so we planned it. We bought our tickets. We were set. We go to LA, and then it was the week they weren't filming that week of our spring break.
God.
Right? It was such a bummer. So we didn't get to go on The Price is Right, but we instead went and did LA things. And so my brother lived in LA at the time. And so one day we went to Magic Mountain.
Dude, that's so convenient. The brother that you're tight with,
right?
That's not in Spokane anymore. He's actually in LA during senior year. Dude, that's so.
Yes,
I love
yes, it
when
was
things work out like that.
it was perfect. So we go to that place, is that what I call it? Said Magic
Yes.
Mountain?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
I
So
think
we go there.
it's in Valencia, I think. Or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was yeah. Yeah. So we
dude,
like
so this is
drive out
so
there. We're out there.
because I see
It's
a
just
picture of him because I have a random story that I'll tell you after. Anyway, so you guys go to Magic Mountain and I'll tell my story after. But yeah.
we are there solo, and who do we run into but Mr. Wolf?
No
And
way.
this man, like, he can't stand us, Heinz. We are like the bane of his existence. He does not like us. And we go to Magic Mountain and then we like stop. It was like a scene from a movie where we stop, like, and he's staring at us and we're staring at him and we're all just like, no way.
No
So,
way.
anyway,
That's so
it was
crazy.
very funny. Yeah, it was very funny.
It's
Anyways,
funny.
so yeah, I was a newspaper.
No, that's so crazy. So our freshman year at UW, because you have Jason in this picture.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we had drove down to San Diego our freshman year of spring break. So funny, the very next spring break. So
Yeah.
of freshman year of UW, because we're all at UW. So it was like me, Jason Inouye, Daniel Nalder, and David Goodall. And so
Okay.
us five drove to San Diego because Zach was stationed there. In the Marines. So on the way down though, we stop at Magic Mountain for one day and then we go there and like do all the like, yeah. Cause I mean, we were 19, 18, 19. Yeah. I mean, so we're like, we can't really get into like bars or clubs or anything. And so that was just like one of the random things that we did on that trip was just, we were like, man, let's just go to Magic Mountain. And then so we did not run into Mr. Wolf though, but
Yeah.
no, that's what's funny that because I see Jason in this picture and I'm like, oh, snap, we went to Magic Mountain the very next year. And so that's why it's so random. But
Jason was like the editor.
yes.
He was like
Yeah.
in charge of the
Yeah.
paper. Yeah. Okay. So sorry. Have more. Oh, prom.
No, I love these.
This is like Zoom.
Oh, yeah, you definitely.
This was like
Yeah.
there. Yeah. So this was prom. I went with Toad,
Toe.
but there's like the whole crew: Tommy and John and Becky and this guy Mike who worked at Dairy Queen with the Dairy Queen crew, and Deanna and Robert and Kim and Chris and Toad and I.
Nice.
So yeah, fun.
That's a
That was the
dope
only
picture.
dance I went to in high school.
Oh, for real?
So it was fun. Yeah. I wasn't really, I I didn't never go to dances, but I went to this one.
Yeah.
And then you guys were talking about the restaurants. And so this one of Luciano's made me laugh. 'Cause we had like this
Luciano's. Yes.
huge,
Wait, what happened?
huge crew at Luciano's.
For real? Like 20 people?
No, we just all went there for prom. Yeah, like an annoying. I can only imagine the folks that work there were like, okay,
Pissed. Yeah, they were
but
probably
it was
pissed.
very fun.
Which is funny because Luciano's for a small time they were like a casino for a hot second too. They like did
Oh, really?
yeah, I think they had like blackjack tables there for a hot second. Yeah. Like in a brief
Yeah,
like random early
they were like, check this
2000s.
out, right? This picture I thought was funny. Christy stealing Deanna's prom queen crown away from her. I think Deanna
Wow.
had to give the prom queen crown back, and so this made me laugh. And I again like the parking lot shot.
Yes. It's so funny
Oh,
how we
this one's
like
like
the
in
most random parking lot shots. Oh, this is a dope
right
picture.
exactly. Here,
This
let
is
me
a
zoom
dope picture.
Yeah, this is like in the lunchroom. I don't know what. I feel like there was like a gift exchange or something.
Dude, this is a dope picture.
But yearbooks are out, so it's probably. I mean, it looks like it's like the end of the year. So yeah, look how we have our coffees, Deanna and Christy and I, because we just always got coffee from my work everywhere we went.
Yes. Man, this is probably one
But
of my
yeah,
favorite pictures. This is so dope. Who has their
yeah.
hand over their head, though? Who's that? Next to Joel
I
and
think.
Christy.
Yeah. I wonder if it's Tina.
Yes.
She had kind of short hair. I don't know though, honestly.
This is
But
a
yeah,
dope picture though, for sure.
that's a good one. Yeah. And then this one is right before the senior trip. Remember we were like the senior trip we went to Julian's,
Well, yes. Yes.
right? Yeah. So I think that's
Yes.
what this is from.
Can you zoom in a little bit on
And I
this?
Yes. Yeah, this was
'Cause I
I took a
kind of
camera.
remember it, but it's, yeah, I just have like,
I don't know. Same. It's very hazy.
it's
But
super hazy.
I know I took a camera on this trip because I have a bunch. I'll like text you some more because
Yes.
I didn't put them all in there, but like I had a bunch of pictures. So anyway,
Man, this is
I don't even
kind of,
recommend everybody.
no, this is a cool picture. Because I know there's people like, because I know Toad for sure watches these, and I know Josh, Aerith watches these. So like seeing these pictures of them, they'll love seeing some of these pictures that they probably haven't seen in years. So these are kind of awesome.
If ever, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If ever, too. That's true.
Look, kind.
Wow. Is that me and Weathers?
This is on that same trip. Yeah.
See, dude, that's what I'm saying, man. Like that was such a random, like it's hazy. Like, because I kind of remember being there, but because like, was this after school? Like what? I mean, right? This was after school, yeah?
There was, yeah. I think it was like right after graduation. And I feel like there was like a bus that took us.
Okay.
But then it was like an overnight or something. I honestly, I would love for someone to fact check this.
Yeah.
I'm like,
because I don't think it was, I think it was before graduation. I think almost all of our events, I think so. But I couldn't, like, it's so hazy. I am not confident in any of that. So, I mean, it could have been after.
I agree. It feels very hazy, but I was like, oh, it's kind of fun though.
Dude, that's dope.
What else? Oh, this one makes me laugh because it's at Taco Bell in Spanaway.
Spanaway Taco Bell.
Spanaway Taco Bell with
dude, you
Jenny
have
and
dope
Shania.
Pictures. Yes.
Thank you. But yeah, this one actually I found on social. So I don't actually know that this is my picture. This one might be Shania.
Okay.
Because I feel like I was looking at ones I've been tagged in. So, but we used to hang out at that Taco Bell in Spanaway a lot. Like in junior high, we would cut through some poor people's yard.
Yes.
Like I don't even know who they were, to like cut back behind the Safeway and go to that Taco Bell and the Godfathers and stuff. It's wild. But this one's actually college, but I didn't have any high school ones with Billy. So this was in college.
Central?
I went to Central.
Yes.
Yeah. And Billy did too. And so I had this raft in my apartment in college forever that we just like lounged around in. So that one is from Central.
That's a great picture of Billy, but a shitty picture of Billy because it doesn't really have his face, but it's so Billy though. It's like, that's
surprised how the pictures there were a lot of pictures that I had that I wouldn't be great for sharing. Here, I'm going to stop.
No, these are so good. No, those are so good. Those are so good.
So, yeah.
You, I thought, man, you teased me the other day with a picture and then you didn't put it in there.
And Tim.
Yeah.
I
know.
Okay. I should have. I was just looking through all of them and
so it didn't make I love it because like, man, I love this. It didn't make the cut for the final for the final. So but I'm glad you sent it to me because I have it now. Yeah. So like I'm not tripping.
Now you're gonna have to post a bunch of photos.
Yeah, I mean I can yeah. I can do that eventually.
There you know.
So
there you go.
No, that was so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any like so like we were briefly talking about like your job. So which one was your very first job then?
Well, I babysat for the summer for like somebody's from my dad's office.
After your sophomore year?
After my sophomore year. Yeah, sophomore year. And then right away, I think I was still 16. I started working at this coffee cart, Summit Espresso, which was on 112th and Canyon.
Oh, 112th and Canyon. Yes.
Yeah, 112th and Canyon. So like
Burger
Puyallup.
King, Albertsons.
Yep, exactly. So it was like this little red coffee cart that was like out in that intersection. And I worked there for a long time. I worked there until it closed.
Wow.
But like because there was like an old McClendon's there, and then they tore it down and built a big new McClendon's, and we saw it through so much. So I started working there when I was like 16, and I worked hella. Like I worked
Wow.
in high school. I got like there was like a work pass thing. And so I worked like 35 hours a week when I was
My
a
God.
senior. Yeah, no,
Damn.
I worked a ton, and I made good money, and I like it was
Yeah.
it was a great job. And like it's funny, I don't think that there's jobs like that for 16-year-olds now, where
Anymore.
I'm like
Yeah.
alone, little like
Yeah.
this little shack trailer thing, and it's like lit up, and I'm there closing by myself and opening by myself. And it's kind of funny in retrospect, because I just think, oh man, I wouldn't want any 16-year-old I know
Yeah.
doing that, just solo work. But it was great. It was good.
It's funny because
So,
I applied for a job over there actually at the
oh really?
Albertsons. So
Daniel worked there.
this is what's funny is like, and he got that job because Brian Slater worked there. And so
Oh,
what
I didn't
happened
know
was
Brian
me and Daniel actually came in together, and they were like, we both applied for a job at Albertsons, and then they were like, hey, we can only hire one of you. And then I was like, okay, well, I don't really need this. So I basically I basically was like, I'm not really trying to work anyway. So, go ahead.
Yeah.
Right. And then, and so Daniel ended up working at that one with, that's how he was over there.
Yeah, Daniel was there, and then we were like up the street from the Papa Murphy's that everybody else worked at.
Oh,
So there was so many
yes.
people.
Yeah.
So
That Papa
and then
Murphy's has been mentioned quite a few times on this, just because
Papa Murphy's
it was
there was
kind
a
of
lot
cracking.
going on.
Yeah, there's a lot
Yeah,
going on there. Yeah.
yeah. We had some other friends that worked at the Little Caesars that was over there too.
Nice.
There was like a Little Caesars in the Albertsons
It's tight when you're like,
side,
your whole little crew is working within distance of each
right?
other.
Yeah. It's like a whole different currency too,
Yes.
where it would be like, yeah. Deanna worked at the Taco Time at South Hill Mall. So we were rich in Taco Time tacos and iced coffees. We would always be, yeah. It was
It's so
fun.
funny because like going back and like actually that's what I mean, like during that time period without social media we were not very organized. I feel like if there was a running list of like where everybody worked,
Yeah.
I mean there could have been a great
Yeah.
there could have been some great operations going around town, like so
Right? I feel like we did pretty well. I feel like you knew who to go to for all
yes.
kinds of stuff.
No, that's
all
true.
of the
That's
different
true.
restaurants.
No,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
So yeah, I worked there, and then after we graduated, I was working 2 coffee shop jobs. I got another coffee gig, and I was getting ready. I was supposed to go to Evergreen, so I had like applied early to go
Yes.
to Evergreen, but then unfortunately I didn't pay attention to any of the like needed requirements.
Yeah.
So I was like, when I was like headed to Evergreen from our spring of our senior year, I like was working 2 jobs, getting ready, quit my jobs. Then I get a letter in the mail, I had my dorm assignment and everything, and I get a letter, and it's like, you don't have these math classes. Like you can't come to Evergreen.
Whoa.
And so then it was just like I was when I had done like choir, where I was like, forget this. I'm never going to college. I'm never doing anything again. Like, so that was a weird period.
So what'd you do? And then how'd you end up at Central?
Well, so then I was like, forget this. I'm never, like, really, I was so mad. I was so hurt. And I think I like blamed a lot on like not having a lot of guidance through Spanaway Lake, that I was like, how was there not like anybody paying attention to these things? That like free for all registration, like I could have used a little guidance in terms of like what's needed. And so Deanna and I lived in this little apartment on like 112th and Golden Gibbon in Parkland.
Okay. Yeah.
We moved out there and she went to beauty school and I went to massage school to be a massage therapist. And I like worked and we just worked like all the time. And I was working a ton. I was working multiple jobs. I was like, had finished massage school and I was just like, is this it? Is this like what I'm going to do? Is because I was just hanging out in this little apartment that wasn't like, I don't know, like it just didn't feel my bitterness about not going to college was kind of coming to an end, right? Because I'm like now it wasn't where I was supposed to be. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. I had a coworker at the coffee shop at the Red Summit Espresso, Ronnie, who is a friend, and she was like, you should go to college. And I'm like, fine. So it was like July, and I look through like every school in the state, like every college, right?
Yeah.
And they're literally the only school with a rolling deadline was Central. And so I was like, okay. And I sent my stuff in. I had never been to I had been to Ellensburg, like when you drive through the state.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I hadn't like,
because you're from Spokane. So,
yeah.
so of
So
course you pass.
of course, I've been to the like McDonald's in Ellensburg, but
Yes.
I had never been to Central. And so I filled it out and then they let me in and then I moved there like 2 months later and went to Central. So I've tried to, and I started.
What year was that?
That was like 2001.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And so I was there. I moved. It took me a minute because I had like I was like, well, maybe I should do like the whole dorm thing because I wanted the college experience. And then that was like, no, that doesn't really work when you've already been living on your own. And like, it would just didn't sync up quite right. But then I moved into student housing and then I was in the same area as Brian Slater. So he lived in the next stairwell down from where I did. So then, yeah, I was there. But I technically transferred to Central as a freshman because I had like a credit from doing Running Start.
Wow.
So it was funny. But yeah, anyway.
And then Billy was going there at the same time too? No,
Billy
not
yet. Billy followed me. Let's be clear.
Well, see, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he was at Pierce.
I gotta have him on the podcast to explain this.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was at Pierce, and so he finished his associate's degree before he came over. So I think I was there for like a year. Yeah.
He was not a freshman when he came over.
No, he came over not transferring as a freshman. He came over and he left. So he came over after me and he left before me because I still had to do 4 years, but he only
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So anyway, it was good. It took me a minute at Central, but then I really found a lot of people that I love. And
it took me 10 years at UW. So no shame in that. So, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
Well, the whole time I'm at Central, I'm like, it doesn't matter what these grades are. Like, I'm never going to grad school. And then I like got out and ended up going to grad school, but that's another story. So listen, I love quitting things, but now I'm trying to be better about being like, let's never.
Gangster, you actually finish them though. So like, there's some finality to that too. That's the same thing that you found in my story. Like you found it in yours. So like, you went to grad school too. So where'd you go to grad school?
Yeah, I went to UW. I went to the School of Social Work at UW.
Dope.
Yeah, I know. It was cool. I mean, I was working when I did it. I was in an evening program when I was working. I didn't feel like I went to UW. I wasn't like on,
No. You weren't enjoying. Yeah. I mean, plus it's grad school though, too. So I feel like anybody if you're not, I think that undergrad experience is a little overrated in general. And I mean, I had fun and I met a lot of people, but man, I was not focused. And which is partly why it took me 10 years to finish my undergrad. So, but
it's a different.
No, I think it's.
And that's like, there's not a right amount of time for any of this. Like the path is different for all of us, and there's not a singular path. So yeah.
Yeah, and somebody just brought it up too when it comes to this podcast too. Like I just try to do my job as far as invite as many people, basically anybody that's if you're from Spanaway, from our age group, time period, whatever, please, man, reach out to me because I would love to have everybody on the show. to share their experiences. And just like you said, I think everybody's time on the podcast is their time. It's like, that's
Yeah.
when it's like meant to be. So that's
Yeah.
why I feel like
That's
it's
perfect.
very, I don't know. I think I'm glad I have this for us Spanaway folks, you
Yeah.
know? So
It's special, Hein. You should be proud of pulling it together.
yeah,
Good stuff.
I'm proud that it's still going, and that we still have people willing to come on like yourself. So it's like,
Yeah.
before we put the genie back in the bottle, a few last things I want to kind of go over. Were you at Central during 9/11? Do you remember your 9/11?
Yeah. Well, I remember.
Your
Yeah.
day?
I do remember. I
Yeah.
was
What was that
actually
like?
I was staying in Spanaway though. I wasn't, it was like,
Yes.
I was still on summer break.
Yes.
And that summer I had come home. My parents had moved to a different place in Spanaway. I was staying in with them, but I was working at this coffee shop again in Sumner called the Coffee Barn.
Okay.
And I literally have no memory of why I was driving all the way out there to work there, but
Yeah,
that's
that's
another
kind of
story.
deep.
So my shift started at 6 a.m. So I'm like
You're
pulling
there already. Yeah.
right. I'm like pulling into work and I have the radio on and they're like, a plane just flew in, blah, 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 as I'm like parking my car. And then I go into the shop and I was working that day with the owner of the shop. And so I didn't even, you thought it was like an accident or something.
Yes.
So I didn't even really register. But then people started coming through. It was a drive through and people started coming through and they're like, no, something happened. So we turned the news radio on. And so for that whole shift, we just were listening to the news and it was so scary. We had no imagery,
Yeah.
it was so scary, but we were listening to it pretty closely as we're working. And then my shift got over at like, I don't know, 3 o'clock or something. And I was driving home and I remember stopping in Puyallup at like a blood bank because I was like, should I give blood? Like, what should
Whoa,
we do? And
already? What?
yeah, like, well, because I hadn't seen anything, but I was like, what do we do?
You want to help.
And
You wanted to help out
they
right
probably
away.
were saying that. Yeah, they were probably saying that on the news or something.
Yeah.
And by that time, like people were coming in and telling us, but it wasn't the same. Like people couldn't show us pictures. It wasn't like they
Yes.
had phones to show us or whatever. So we didn't know what it looked like. But then, so I remember driving by. There was like a blood bank on, like right by Good Sam Hospital
Yeah.
in Puyallup. I drove
Yeah.
by it, and there were like people everywhere, and so they weren't accepting anyone. And so I was like, okay.
Whoa.
I went home and then I saw it all, but. Yeah, it's like outlined through this shift while I'm like
Yes.
making coffee the whole time and hearing about the whole thing. It was really crazy. Yeah.
That's interesting that how like your
Wasn't fun.
first experience is literally all word of mouth. Like, so you didn't see the imagery and it's just
Yeah.
like, and like, it's
No.
crazy to go throughout the day not seeing anything because, that doesn't happen today because we're all addicted to our phones. But that's crazy to go, 12 plus out, 10 plus hours, 8 plus hours
Yeah.
of not seeing
Yeah.
the thing that everybody's like kind of seeing and talking about and being shocked. And you're just,
Right.
you understand what happened. Like the
You're
news
just
got
like
to you.
picturing it.
Yes. So now you're trying to picture your
Yeah.
own thing. And that's quite profound.
Yeah, it was really crazy. Yeah, it was kind of crazy because the way that we were like, yeah, you just had no understanding of what it looked like, but you had the adrenaline that we all had during that time where it was like, what do we do? What happens? What's going to happen? But without any of the visuals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting.
No,
So,
that's crazy.
no, I remember it very well.
When you hear the term Spanaway and
Yeah.
what does that make you think of, like when you hear that term?
Yeah. I think when I hear the term, I think that there's like, it's kind of bittersweet. Like it brings up like a lot of hard times, but also like a lot of really good times. And I think really, so there's something kind of bittersweet about it, but then I think about the people specifically, and I think about, Christy and Deanna and Becky and Billy and Matt, everybody that like I love that I grew up with. It's like the people are kind of Spanaway. And so, but it also like stirs like the amount of grief and loss and really scary hard times that I also went through. in Spanaway. So it's not like all sweet. It feels a
Yeah.
little bittersweet.
Which I think is a
But
very home, you said?
it does feel like home, like
Yeah.
forever. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I think your bittersweet is actually a more appropriate, and I try to bring this up too, that that is a more realistic point of view, because that's life in a lot of sense for a lot of things. A lot of things are bittersweet, where it's like you have great memories, you met great people, like that stuff, but like maybe you were going through a very difficult time. And so this is for everybody too, so.
Yeah.
It's not always, like peaches and roses or whatever, the term may be,
Right.
it's not always like that, and so
Yeah.
I don't want this to come across as like, hey, this is the podcast where we all say great things about Spanaway, because it was definitely not the most perfect place. And so, like with people our age, this is kind of just a general question, just kind of randomly came up, just thinking like, what do you think are some of the, and if, what do you think are some of the like challenges maybe people our age might be going through during this part of our lives?
Like in terms of just kind of this period of being in our mid 40s.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's like a lot. I think that like there's kind of a period where we're like really recognizing that we're in middle age in a different way.
Yes.
Like that where we're like actually like the grown people in the room.
It snuck up
And I
on
think
me, like, to be
yeah,
honest. Like I was like, oh
yeah,
snap, we're the grown-ups here? Like, oh snap, I guess we are. Like, yeah, it snuck up on me. Yeah.
I think that's the case for a lot of us to be like, oh, we're the adults in the room. And I think that there's like some fear that comes with that, right? Like the fear that we don't know as much as we should for being at the place that we're at.
Yes.
A fear that we didn't do enough with the time that we had. And I think I mean, you and I kind of talked about this a little bit, but we're also holding our parents in different ways. So I think there are a lot of things that are hard about middle age, right?
Yeah.
Like it's hard to be the adult in the room. It's hard to look back and have hindsight about like, oh, I wish I would have ABC. I wish I would have stayed in freaking choir, right? Like I wish I would have.
Yes.
I wish there's a million things I wish I would have done differently.
A million
I wish
of
I would
those
have.
too.
Right. I wish I would have understood my worth in a different way as a kid and
Same.
not been so insecure. I wish I would have all of these things, but it's like, okay, so what do I do with that now? And the reality is that like when we're taking care of our parents, taking care of kids, taking care of dogs and houses and yards. Yeah, like there's a lot. There's a weight that comes with adulthood. And that's under like the best of circumstances.
Yeah.
That's without like, people losing jobs and going through illness and having hard things. So I don't know, man. I think that it's tough to think about the amount of stuff we're holding, but I think it's this like halfway point where we're like looking behind us and we're looking ahead.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
It is 1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah.
And then I usually end it with this question I always like to ask, kind of almost like piggybacking off of your just previous answer just there. But, like if you could go back to 1998 and have a conversation with yourself, what would that conversation look like?
Yeah. I think that I would really work on, I would do a big pep talk. I think that
like what kind of pep talk?
To understand, I think a lot of that about just understanding my worth and not connecting it. I think that there are lessons that I've learned in my 20s and my 30s and my 40s about like my worth being connected to other people and the way that I care for people or don't care for people or whatever. And so I think that there's like, I don't know how you can like, I mean, I know that people say this all the time that like youth is wasted on the young. Because it's like, I don't know how I could convince my 18-year-old self that I was worth more than I thought I was at that time. But I sure would want to try, I sure would want to like give her a pep talk and encourage her in being her own self, kind of outside of the context of the rest of.
That's beautiful. And thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Thank you, hon.
Yeah. And then actually, I do have one more like random. If you could encourage others that, you would want to come on this program? Like who maybe that you may want to see possibly as guests on this podcast? And do you have words of encouragement for them?
Yeah, I'll say, okay, I would love to see people whose stories I know. I would love to see Thomasina. I would love to see Kim. I would love to see Deanna and Becky, of course, and Billy and Matt and Daniel. I can't imagine Daniel coming on here and pouring his heart out, but I would love to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would
I'd
love
love
to see it too.
Yeah, I think though that the part that I really enjoy that has been a surprise to me is like hearing from people that I really didn't even know. Like people that I'm like, I don't know, I don't remember. And not because of them, because of my own like
Yeah.
lack of engagement in high school that I'm like, oh, like I had no idea that those stories. So I don't know what your process is for finding people, but I would say whatever you're doing, like the folks that you found, it's been really interesting to hear from people, even people that I didn't know prior.
No, that's the hardest part of this podcast is
Yeah,
finding people, anybody. And so
yeah,
whoever is, if you want to come on, I would love to have you. And so all those
yeah,
people she just mentioned, I would love to have any and all of you guys on, and so I'm in the process of, I've talked to a few of those people that you've mentioned and they have
yeah,
said later. So I will follow back up with some of them, but some of those people, and a lot of those people listen
yeah.
to a lot of these too. So I'm hoping that those words of encouragement, that they take those to heart and that hopefully they do come on one day, so yeah.
Well, I just think it's like, even when you don't see people, even when you don't see people frequently, like, I just have so much love
Yes.
for for everyone that I grew up with and that I have been in and out of contact with and that have, I don't know, I think that that's a hard part about my own like the chaos of life. I'm bad at keeping in touch. Billy will tell you he always talks shit about me, but I'm bad at keeping in touch. But I really do have so much love for where
For
we're from
sure.
and from all of the folks that have been in my life at various times. So
That's dope, man. That's a great note to end us off with. Man, thank you so much for all your time, Gretchen, and for coming on the Swayside Connection podcast today. And thank you guys for tuning in. And we will see you guys all in the next one.
bye.
Perfect.